Time is the most valuable currency we have, whether it be in the jobs we do, the people we spend our time with, or the way we relax. Every second we choose to spend is a second we'll never get back. So the games we choose to play should be a big deal, right? With games getting longer and longer, and more options than ever before, it's harder to choose what to invest your time in. Well, what if a game's main mechanic was the concept of time? Not controlling time like Prince of Persia, but waiting. Games like Animal Crossing toy with this concept, but you can time travel by changing the date in the system settings. And within Animal Crossing, what does it really add? A small sense of realism, and a game where I try to get a mummy dog to stay on my tropical island? I wrote this opening before ever playing either of these games, because I thought this schedule-based concept of time was interesting, and that it would be the main crux of this video. What I didn't expect, however, was for a game to teach me how to love. Have you ever had a dream that emotionally changed your perception of a person? The opening of Chulip has our poor boy dreaming of a pussy tree. A man comes out of the tree and asks his name, and the name of his dream girl. He then proceeds to perform a type of ceremony. For poorer or hungrier, will you stay happy together as long as you both shall live? Now, you may give her a kiss. This is the type of bullshit I would have dreamt of as a kid. A random girl in my class, who I had no interest in before, suddenly creeps her way into my dreams and changes my feelings. The boy's dream is more of a premonition, of things to come, of a girl he'll soon meet. What I want to convey with this little tangent is that dreams are powerful. They have an ability to rewrite you from the inside. I sympathize with the boy and his goal, especially when the literal girl of his dreams turns him down. After this, the boy's dad tells him to write a love letter. But poor boy is a little shit at it. I'm not the only one that feels this way, as the little head-feet paintbrush man who lives underground also believes his letter is a bit shit. He tells the poor boy that his heart is too immature and weak to write a good love letter. He then summons the onion woman from the ground, for to kiss will strengthen thy heart, as represented by this Yoshi's Island looking heart meter in the upper left corner. The more hearts you have, the stronger your heart be. You'll need to get as many kisses as you can, so one day your heart will be strong and mature enough to write a good love letter. You'll do this by going around town, meeting its residents who each have their own wants and, well, dreams. With most of Long Life townsfolk being fairly fleshed out characters, each with their own daily routine, lending to the feeling that these characters are alive and would operate whether I'm here or not. In fact, they will. You see, every character is on a schedule. Julie wakes up at noon and cleans up the bar, before heading out to tend to the chickens, coming back at 3:15 to choke the chicken, cook the chicken, and open the bar at about 5. Goro, Julie's husband, sleeps most of the day away, then gets up late afternoon to sell sweet potatoes. He has a bunch of film reels in his room, and movie posters with his name on them. He wallows in self-pity over his failed film career. The Fart Woman. Hey, I think I've seen this one. Maybe if you give him a reason to open up the theater, you can press your lips upon his big nasty lips. But I am dreams of making music. Even resorts to eating food from the trash to survive. He eventually believes the only way to be happy is to get a real job and stop eating poopy. But upon getting a real job, he realizes that he'd rather eat shit out of the trash and play music, which I totally get. Factories are fucking prisons, and in Chulip's case, it's almost literal. By spending some time getting to know each character, you can learn where they hide their love and steal a kiss.
She said she was 12!
As with the Onion Woman in the beginning, there's a whole subdivision of Long Life Town. A group of people living underground composed of all walks of life. An inventor named Dr. Phil, a train enthusiast named Jamtrack 415, and Yadzilla, who is a Godzilla, just like how Dr. Dandy is a Dracula. These are just a few of many. These underground residents are less developed than the main townspeople, with just about everything you need to know about them in a small text blurb. You'll have to figure out when they come out of the ground and watch them until they viva, i.e., finding their love. This can be super annoying, since you don't always know how to make them Viva. Some characters need an item, some do it randomly, and some you just have to wait for. It's a very trial and error system, except that it's not meant to be. From what I understand, the manual that came with the game was more of a player guide than a standard manual. I, however, played this digitally on the PS3 because fuck that, so a walkthrough is basically required. However, even with a walkthrough, it's not a walk in the park. You can take massive damage from a small mistake, causing you to die, sending you all the way back to the title screen, where you have to watch the same cutscene every time before you can reload your last save. And with no autosaves, and the bathroom save points being few and far between, you can lose a large chunk of progress if you're not careful. The other downside is one of the game's coolest features, the schedule. Not only do people operate on a schedule, but so do businesses and trains. If you want to buy or sell something, you'll have to wait for the store to open. Or if you want to go to a new town, you'll have to wait for the train to arrive. Each in-game hour takes 30 real-time seconds, so each day lasts 12 minutes. Which isn't a lot of time, but the amount of time you spend sitting around adds up quick. I spent 38 minutes trying to kiss this big-nosed cocksucker. He randomly falls in Vivas, and if you miss him, you'll have to try again the next day. I just ended up picking up poop until I died so I could load my last save. It wasn't until hours into the game that I found that you could hum while sitting. I wish there were more little things like this to keep you busy during your downtime, since there's so much of it.
You gotta be fucking
sitting
me.
This game requires a lot of patience, which I'm not known for having, and yet I kept coming back. I wanted to meet every one of these wacky characters and see what was around the next corner in each new town. More than anything, I wanted to see my boy succeed. Chulip is a weird game.
Bring out the gimp.
But it's also very unique. While it's frustrating to have to sit and wait literal minutes for certain events to happen, the time mechanic goes a long way in helping you get to know more about the people of Long Life Town. Not only that, the game is charming as all hell, with each character having their own visual flair, easily distinguishable from one another, wearing their personalities on their sleeves. Upon first glance, I would say the game takes place in a small rural Japanese town, but something about it feels very British, especially in its humor. Even though the voice acting is gibberish, it can come across as deadpan, satirical, sardonic even. Grown-ups looking for happiness, chasing dreams even at a ripe old age. You may never find happiness or achieve your dreams, but if you keep trying, it's always a possibility. Chulip is a wonderfully ambitious game that requires a lot from the player, but just like Poor Boy's dream, some things are worth fighting for. It's an experience.
Experience the love. Experience Moon. Don't be a hero. Now, please, open the door.
Love-de-Lic, and by extension, Onion Games, loves love. They have an infinity affinity for it. This was evident all the way back in '97 with their first release, Moon Remix RPG Adventure. The mouthfooling. The team that made it being comprised of former Square employees, having worked on the likes of Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG. You could say these guys were big dickin' at the time, being well versed in RPGs, with them leaving it all behind to start their own studio, unburdened by the conventional conventions that held RPGs back at the time, creating what would be known as the first anti-RPG, a parody in a sense, not in the vein of something like Scary Movie, where all it does is make fun of the source, but more akin to something like Cabin in the Woods, where it establishes preconceived notions, pokes fun at said notions, and moves the genre forward, while also staying rooted in what made the genre in the first place, being able to stand on its own, even if the original didn't exist. Moon's opening is one of the cutest, gosh darn things I've ever seen. Starting with a little boy going to play his obviously PS1-inspired game station, booting up Moon, Fake Moon, a game within a game, showing the same company logos on his little CRT, just as I had saw a moment ago when I started the game. Lore dumps fill up the screen as the boy quickly skips through them, until you're able to take control of the hero in what looks to be a run-of-the-mill, SNES-esque RPG adventure. King says kill the dragon, and that's what we set off to do, and nothing is going to get in our way. Not even a fucking insane looking rabid dog. Playing as the hero, you'll walk around exploring the town, talking with people, and getting into the occasional turn-based battle. However, you don't get a turn, as these battles are automated. You as the player never actually harms anyone. The battles just play out while you watch, same as they will later on. Before you can leave this town, you must first pillage, getting a legendary armor set. After that, you're free to walk into the fields, where a rainbow randomly appears and a rock moves out of your way for no reason at all. You'll go through the motions for a bit, walking around and watching creatures get killed, until your inevitable battle with the dragon.
Ahora sí es mucho daño.
This battle is not even turn-based, with the hero just wailing on the dragon over and over again. But before the final blow can be dealt,
Stop playing that game and go to bed.
Mama knows best. The TV comes back on, prompting the boy to investigate, only for him to get sucked, splatting down in Love-de-Lic, aka Real Moon. Now playing as the boy, you experience some of the events you played as the hero from a new perspective. The game plays off everything you did in Fake Moon in really clever ways. The legendary armor set, just a bra and panties, with the random rock moving out of the way due to the fact that he was embarrassed by the hero and just wanted to get away from him. The rabid dog from before is just a normal dog that the hero is desperately trying to kill for some of that sweet, sweet XP. You're not the only one that perceives it this way either, as the townsfolk talk mad shit on the hero for doing all the weird shit a typical RPG protag would, i.e. being a general menace to society. Don't be a menace, or the boys in the hood will come straight out of Compton to release some poetic justice on your ass. Juice. Everyone is the hero of their own story, and the hero of this story is actually the villain, going around being an asshat, killing innocent animals because he believes he needs the experience to kill the dragon, though he might just be a psychopath. I mean, look at this little slime just shaking in his metaphorical slime boots. This is the main goal of the game. Capturing the souls of the killed creatures to bring them back to life. Capturing souls will give you love, for to love will strengthen thy heart, just like Chulip. Also similar to Chulip's underground residence, you're given a tiny text blurb as to how to catch the creatures, though definitely not as obtuse as some of the fuckers in Chulip could be. A lot of them are just sitting around waiting to be caught, and for the most part the others can be figured out with a little deductive reasoning. Tommy is easily frightened, so take your time with him, and sneak up on his ass. Cherby may come out of hiding if his desire is fulfilled. Sit your tight little boy butt on his face. There are 51 animal souls to collect, each one giving a certain amount of hearts. The more love experience points you have, the longer you can stay awake. Because bubby, if you ain't got love in your life, you'll stop breathing and pass the heck out.
He needs some
Love. Unlike Chulip, experimenting doesn't involve getting hurt, as that would go against the whole live and let live mentality the game has. The main consequence is passing out. If you're not a high enough love level, you'll be hitting the dirt, losing all the progress you've made since you last hit the hay. It isn't hard to remedy this, as you'll capture a lot of animal souls pretty easily, pretty early on. After the first time passing out, I don't think I passed out again the rest of the game. The only other consequence is having to wait if you fail to do something at the correct time. Just like Chulip, Moon has a clock. Certain things happen at certain times. Unlike Chulip, however, Moon has an entire week cycle, with certain things only happening on certain days. Luckily, wandering around exploring will almost always yield something to do. I never really felt like I was just sitting around wasting time in Moon. Everywhere you go, there's something to see, do, or collect. There was a time or two where I had to sit and wait for a moment, but it was never truly a hindrance, for I had my trusty Moon Disc. All the music in-game is diegetic, with the vast majority of it coming from your Moon Disc, a in-game Walkman. I would have called it a Moon Man, but whatever. There are 36 songs you can buy and find for this thing, all composed by 36 different artists. Consisting of different genres and styles, there's not really any cohesion between them. That being said, the lack of cohesion as a whole allows you to make the flow your own. By letting you choose the songs at any given moment, you're able to give the characters and settings the vibe you think best fits them. Industrial, psychedelic, jazz, you name it, Moon's probably got it.
What kind of music is that? Like a bossa nova beat?
So you're going around catching souls and collecting CDs, but for what? Yeah, I had no clue. Honestly, I had no clue what I was doing, really, until it was time for the game to end. Apparently I was supposed to go have a meeting with the king, where he would have given me a card, basically telling me what the endgame was. I didn't do that. Not until the end, at least. Yeah, that's probably my bad. Probably should have talked to him from the get-go. Though, even with the knowledge the king gives you, it's not entirely straightforward as to where to go and what to do when you get there. The game may not have held my hand, but the art style certainly held my dicto. It kept me hard with intrigue, sprites, pre-renders, and claymation. Just like the soundtrack, it's got a lot of different styles it's playing with here, even using some to visually convey the difference between two cultures. This art style has stood the test of time, even 25 years after its release, and will continue to do so with how visually unique it is, creating something aesthetically similar to an amalgamation of everything the Love-de-Lic team had worked on before. All of these different styles come together to encapsulate the literal heart of the game, the idea that love conquers all. It's cliche to say, and it's a simple takeaway, but it doesn't matter. Listen, Moon is an experience, from its soundtrack and art style to its story. There's a large chunk of lore that's relegated to the background, and even without that, the game can be enjoyed. My experience was 15 hours of catching animal souls with a tiny bit of story sprinkled throughout, then getting an ending that, even without a huge lead-up, feels satisfying and like it has something to say.
Experience the love. Experience Moon.
And discover that the real experience is the love we make and the time we take to make it.
You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words,
Open the goddamn door!